So the original Halloween came out in 1978 and is still praised as the best in the series. To summarize, Michael Myers is an escaped psychopath that goes on a rampage in a suburban neighborhood while a psychologist, Dr. Loomis, tracks him down with the police. At the time of this video, I've only seen the original and I thought it was pretty good. It didn't wow me, and I think it's because I'm a millennial, so I'm used to more modern horror films, which focus more on visual effects, crazy backstories, and twists. Halloween is as simple as it gets, but its influence on the horror genre is what makes it special. The movie doesn't really tell you a lot about Michael Myers, which I think adds to the mystery of his psychosis. It helps dehumanize him, which I think makes him more terrifying. Lots of horror movies nowadays come up with crazy origin stories to explain their villains, but the opening scene of Halloween tells us just enough to get us interested in what's going on in Michael's mind. The other information we get is from Dr. Loomis, who has a monologue about Michael being the pure embodiment of evil, one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
Jamie Lee Curtis plays Laurie Strode, a babysitter who ends up being the only person to survive an attack from Michael. She's basically the heart of the series and the most relatable character because she's just a regular person caught up in this crazy situation. Lastly, we have to talk about the music. John Carpenter's score is iconic at this point, and really enhances the creepy vibe of the movie. With the success of the first film, a sequel had to be made to finish the story since Michael was still on the loose. It was a direct sequel taking place on the same night as the first movie and even had a definitive ending with Dr. Loomis sacrificing himself in an explosion that kills Michael. But with money comes more sequels. Halloween 3 Season of the Witch came out the following year but didn't have anything to do with the previous 2 movies. Instead, the film had a totally different storyline that tried to shift the franchise into becoming an anthology series. Regardless of how good the movie was, people trashed it because they expected a continuation of the original storyline that got them attached to the franchise in the first place. Slapping the Halloween title on this movie felt like a cheap trick to get people into the theaters. So with that, it seemed like the series was finally over. After a 6-year break, Halloween was back with Michael Myers and Dr. Loomis, who both somehow survived that explosion in Halloween 2. You could just tell the creators didn't give a shit at this point and that it was all about the money. Even Michael's mask looked worse this time for some reason. But anyway, Michael gets killed and revived yet again for Halloween 5 and Halloween 6, but that wasn't the end of it. On the 20th anniversary of the original movie, Halloween H2O was released, which retconned every movie in the series except for the first 2. In it, Michael Myers comes back to kill Laurie Strode after 20 years. During the final confrontation, Laurie ends up decapitating Michael, seemingly putting the final cap on the series. That is until the writers found another way to milk a sequel out of the franchise with Halloween Resurrection, which actually put a cap on the classic series. There was a reboot series in 2007, but since I haven't seen it, I won't talk about it here. Now on to the main feature. Halloween 2018 retcons all the past movies except for the original film. After 40 years, Michael Myers returns to take revenge against Laurie Strode, who's been traumatized after the events of the first movie and has been training her whole life for his return. First off, I love the way this movie looks. Everything from the shots to the use of the Halloween theme were really good. There was even a one-shot in there that actually surprised me. Michael Myers was also done really well here. The fact that he felt like an unstoppable force that couldn't be reasoned with actually made him more scary. Jamie Lee Curtis returns and is as great as always. I thought what they did with her character was the most compelling aspect of the movie. The fact that she's a broken woman that pushed everyone out of her life because of the trauma she endured made her really interesting. However, what confused me is that the movie didn't even focus that much on her. Instead, there are a lot of scenes devoted to Laurie's granddaughter, who's just your average slasher movie teenager. Her friends are all one-note stereotypes that get killed, and she has her own B-plot that doesn't even get resolved. This makes the movie feel really bland, which sucks because they had a unique premise with Laurie that for some reason was given the back seat. It also made the whole thing feel like a retread of the original Halloween, even though it's supposed to be a continuation of that story. There were also some scenes that had people make really stupid decisions just to move the plot forward, which I thought was pretty lazy writing. On the flip side, those scenes did lead to some really cool kills. The kill scenes in general I thought were really well done. The final confrontation, especially between Michael and Laurie, was incredibly entertaining, which is why I wanted to see more of that dynamic throughout the film. I know it sounds like I'm shitting on this movie, but I actually really enjoyed watching it. There were just so many great ideas that I thought got undercut by a lot of bad decisions. It's kind of a mixed bag for me, so I'm going to give Halloween a 7.5 out of 10. Lots of people have varied opinions on this thing, so I'd say check it out for yourself. It's also October, so you kind of have to watch it.
Don't fuck with them hoes.